Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this current affairs lecture, we will be discussing the free movement regime between India and Myanmar and analyzing the question whether this free movement regime should still be present or should be scrapped. Now, why are we discussing the scrapping of free movement regime? Because what had happened in February 2024 is that our Honorable Home Minister has made a statement wherein he said that we will be moving towards scrapping. He announced that the free movement regime along the India-Myanmar border would be scrapped. However, since then, it's been over a year. Since then, neither any notification has come nor any development has come. Now, why was this said by our Honorable Home Minister is because the then Chief Minister of Manipur has mentioned that this open border is leading to more and more conflict in the state of Manipur. So as we know that state of Manipur is in a state of violence, conflict, etc. is ongoing. So the then Chief Minister, Mr. Biren, had said that one of the reasons for that is the infiltration of the people from the other side, from Myanmar into India, which is causing further conflict. And that was one of the reasons why this statement was said for scrapping the India-Myanmar free movement regime. So what is this free movement regime? Basically, India and Myanmar has porous border, open border, wherein free movement of people is allowed. So that is what will be scrapped. It was what was said. So let us dig deeper into this news and understand what are the reasons to scrap it. Will the scrapping be a good decision or not? Is there any alternative we can come up with? So on and so forth. So before we delve into that, a very important announcement of the regular batches that will start from April 17th. One of the regular batch. The second one will be starting from May 12th. So depending upon when do you want to start your studies, you can subscribe for that. The sooner you start, the better it is. The regular batches, the classes are conducted 5 days a week. First session 10 to 1 p.m. and the second session from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It takes care of all your UPSC requirement with respect to classes, of course, coverage of syllabus, study material, test series for prelims, mains, CSAT. Everything is covered in one single program. At the same time, for aspirants who are working professional or have college commitment, can subscribe for the weekend batch, which will start from 19th April. Now here the classes will happen only on Saturday and Sunday throughout the day, that is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, if you are, the best part of this batch is if you are available on other days as well, you can attend the other classes as well. There is no restriction as such, but your major classes or your entire syllabus will be covered from the weekend classes itself. Having said that, very important announcement for prelims 2025 aspirants, that of the free all India prelims mock test series by Legacy IAS Academy. Enroll for this, register for this, give them all India tests. Multiple tests will be there. Instant solution, of course, you will get. The most important thing here will be your all India ranking as well as the discussion that will be held after the test. Having said that, let's now move ahead with our news. So about the free movement regime. So what is the free movement regime? So this is basically the border of India and Myanmar. So India and Myanmar border is over 1600 kilometers long. It is around 1650 kilometers long of border. It is there. Now, this border is not fenced. It is porous. Free movement is allowed. And that free movement regime, that FMR, came into existence in 1968. Why it came into existence? Why we kept it open as porous border? Because people had ethnic ties, familial ties on either side of the border. So it would be very unjust or unethical or not humane on the grounds of morality, etc., to have a border and separate them. So we did not do that. We allowed the free movement to be present. So previously the movement was up to 40 kilometers. That means someone coming from Myanmar can go inside India up to 40 kilometers of distance, and someone entering from India to Myanmar can again go inside Myanmar up to 40 kilometers. Later on in 2004, this distance was reduced to 16 kilometers. And various other regulations have been enforced in 2016 as well. Now, how has this FMR impacted the lives of the people at the border? Now, the thing is, before FMR, before free movement regime, we are thinking that the free movement regime is allowing people to move from here to there. That is absolutely right. But at the same time, before the free movement regime also, there was movement even before the free movement regime. And since there was movement even before the free movement regime, you can say that FMR has not made much of a difference. As why it has not made of much of a difference? Not just one side of a difference, that earlier also people were moving, now also people were moving. There was this FMR looks like it was brought in to allow the free movement, yes, but at the same time it was brought in to check the movement of the people. How can we say that? Because remember, there was restriction of up to 40 kilometers, which was later reduced to up to 16 kilometers. That means what? You will keep a check on the movement of the people up to 16 kilometers, so that you can control the movement better than previously, than the pre-FMR regime. So that was one very smart decision to do, that we will keep a check. However, what has happened? There has been as good as no check on people moving beyond 16 kilometers, as a result of which, even though this law, this rule is in place that people cannot go beyond 16 kilometers, it is quite ineffective. Who is saying this? The experts are saying this, that it is quite ineffective, right? Now, so why is this FMR an issue right now? Majorly because of the problems going on in Manipur, and the then chief minister saying that this influx of people is creating further violence, as a result of which the central government had to pay heed, and that's why the statement of the home minister. Now, how justified is the center's security concern? So what is happening in this border? People are moving, coming to see their familial ties, ethnic ties, so on and so forth. But apart from that, a lot of contraband goods continue to be smuggled in India. Now, what are contraband goods? The goods that are exported or imported illegally. Basically meaning the goods that are smuggled. Smuggled means they are imported, exported illegally. They are called as contraband goods. Huge amount of such contraband goods are being illegally, of course, smuggled into India. Now, at the same time, Manipur is there. In addition to Manipur, Mizoram is also there, which acts as a route for drugs, areca and gold, etc., which is being illegally entering the country from this porous border, right? Now, this has been happening even before the FMR. So, FMR is there even before the FMR it is happening. So removing FMR is as good as not going to make any difference, is what here is being argued. Scrapping may not make any difference, right? Now, however, scrapping may not make any difference, but still something has to be done. If it was happening before also, now also some action has to be taken. And also Manipur violence has to be taken into account. So if the government ignores these voices even now, it can lead to a bigger problem in the future. Now, if FMR is scrapped, there are chances that a protest may erupt. There will be protests. Why there will be protests? See, because when this border was drawn between India and Myanmar, the people were not taken into consideration. Right? So people were not taken into consideration. Now people are okay because the movement is allowed, and there is also no check as such. Now, if FMR is scrapped, what is going to happen if FMR is scrapped? A fence will be planned and constructed between India and Myanmar, so the movement of the people will stop. And since the border was not drawn taking into consideration the people's will, now when FMR stops and fencing will be there, what will happen is it will lead to protests. It could lead to protests. The building of the fence could lead to protests. People have already previously also protested. Now, last year in February also the statement had come, but nothing much has happened. That is why protests you are not seeing. But there's quite a possibility that this will happen. But still, what is the rationale behind putting a fence? You are not just stopping FMR, but directly putting a fence. What has happened? See, there are reasons. What are the reasons? The displaced people from Myanmar. In Myanmar, civil war, etc. keeps going on, because of which the people from Myanmar are getting displaced, and entering the northeastern states of India, especially Manipur, Mizoram, etc., and the other northeastern states. They are influxing, which is changing the demography of the northeastern states. Imagine in a particular region of your own country, your own state, you become a minority, or you are surrounded by people from another nationality altogether, not even other states, but completely other nationality, another country. So there is a change in the demography. It of course affects the businesses. The businesses will be eaten up. The small businesses especially, people may start doing some jobs or some businesses who are coming from outside, which will take the opportunities of the people already staying in that state, and it may lead to certain social issues. It can lead to crimes, ethnic conflict, all those things can erupt. Now, what is the negative of this fencing? So we have seen the rationale of the fencing, but there can be negative externalities of the fencing as well. If the fencing happens, the people may protest, and the people may rather demand a unified homeland. As why? Because many communities are divided by the border that they did not choose. They did not choose this border, and a lot of communities are ethnically linked close. So the kind of demand that is happening in, let's say, for example, Manipur about the Kuki land, the similar kind of demand can happen with respect to an independent state, independent nation, independent country or region, which will encompass Myanmar as well as certain states of India. That is also a possibility. So what can be the way forward over here? One way forward that can be suggested over here is to have customs and other departments positioned along the border. Now, what will happen is, do not scrap the FMR, but keep a closer regulation. Ensure that 16 kilometer, the criteria of 16 kilometer is basically met. You vet the people who are entering at the same time, position the personnel, and keep on having a dialogue with their counterparts on the other side. Because putting up a fence, it is said, it has never worked out. They are giving an example. These kind of borders have not even worked out in the first world country, the developed countries like, for example, USA. So it is quite difficult that putting a fence will work over here. What can rather work is proper patrolling of the area, at the same time ensuring the regulation etc. are properly met. Whatever regulation of 16 kilometers and all is there, all those are implemented properly. So that is a very logical step. Before directly scrapping, can we just follow the rules and regulations that are there, or rather implement it and see what happens? And then probably the next logical step could be discussing this, but taking into account all the stakeholders involved. Thank you.